Hello, and welcome to our How to Play video for Hurry Hard, the curling card game. Out of the box, Hurry Hard consists of a rules booklet, 1 hammer card, 100 playing cards, and 3 blank cards. The 3 blank cards can be used to replace any cards that get damaged. Set the 3 blank cards aside before shuffling the deck for play. We're going to put the cards in the box and move them out of the way so that we can begin. Hurry Hard can be played by 2, 4, 6, or as many as 8 players, always divided into 2 equal teams. If you have an odd number of players, you can substitute 1 player in and out after each end of play. For this video, we'll demonstrate a 4-player game. Our 4 players will be Abby, Bob, Claire, and David. Let's zoom out now so we can see more of the table for play. Players sit at the table in alternating order, so that you always have an opponent to both your left and your right. Abby and Claire will form one team, and Bob and David another. Before you start, decide how many ends you want to play. Each end will take about 15 minutes to complete. A 4-end game is recommended for beginners. For the first end, randomly decide who will start with the hammer. We'll give the hammer to David for this game. The player with the hammer shuffles the deck. First, he deals a 4-card hand to each player. You can pick these cards up and look at them, but you can't tell anyone what cards you have. Next, he deals another 4 cards for each player, face down in front of them in a row. These cards you may not look at it until it's your turn to throw a rock, at which point you will pick one up to add to your hand. David places the remainder of the deck to the side of the table. Players will draw from the top of this deck to refill their hands as play proceeds. Finally, David places the hammer card over the last of his face-down cards as a reminder to everyone about who will throw the last rock for the end. Play now starts with the player to the left of the hammer, so Abby will throw the first rock. She starts by picking up one of the cards in front of her and adds this to her hand. So she now has 5 cards in her hand, and must choose one of these to play as her shot. There are 3 different types of shots that can be played in the game: guards, draws, and takeouts. Each card is marked at the top in blue to indicate which of the 3 shots it is. Before Abby plays, her teammates can call out what shot they would like her to play. Claire asks her to throw a guard. Abby looks in her hand and sees that she has a guard card. She decides to go along with Claire's suggestion and plays this card. Everyone now has the chance to affect Abby's shot. However, on this play, no one chooses to do so. All 4 players pass. There are no rocks in play for Abby's card to guard, so Abby places her guard in the center of the table. It's now available to be claimed by the next player to throw a draw. With the first rock at the end resolved, play now continues to the left. Bob throws the first rock at the end for his team. He begins by picking up one of the cards in front of him and adding it to his hand. His teammate David asks him to play a draw. Bob decides that's a good idea and plays a draw to the 12-foot card. Each other player can now affect Bob's card, so let's show how that works. Claire is to Bob's left, so she gets to play an impact card first. Claire is not on Bob's team, so to affect one of his cards, Claire needs a red card marked with the stop hand symbol. These appear on the bottom of some cards. In addition, the card must specify that it can be played on this type of shot, or after another card that's been played by your opponents. So let's look in Claire's hand and see what she has. Draw cards do not have any extra effects marked on their bottom half, so they cannot be used to affect any other shot. This guard card has double on its lower half, so it can be used to affect other shots. However, it's green, meaning it can only be used to affect a teammate's shot, not a rock thrown by your opponent. This next guard card has missed the broom marked on it, in red, so it can be used to affect an opponent's throw. However, underneath it notes that it can only be played on takeouts, so it can't affect the draw that Bob has just thrown. Finally, Claire has a takeout card with overcurled on the bottom of it. It's red, and it indicates that it can be used on draws. So Claire has the option to play this on Bob's card. She reads the bottom of the card to see what it would do. Normally, if you play a draw and there is a guard in the center of the table, you get to claim the guard to protect your draw. Overcurled, however, says that when played after a draw, you do not get to claim any guards from the center of the table. In curling terms, rather than the draw coming to rest directly behind the guard, it pops open on the other side and can be seen and targeted by a subsequent takeout. So Claire has the option to play overcurl to affect Bob's throw. Bob's draw, however, is only to the 12-foot. Not very good. Claire decides she's not worried about Bob having a rock behind the guard in 12-foot, so she holds onto this card and passes. David has the next chance to affect Bob's throw, but he also passes. So does Abby. Bob now has the chance to affect his own throw. In his hand, Bob has a green Hurry Hard card. Since it's a green card with the broom symbol, he can play it on his own team's rocks, including the one he just threw. Further, Hurry Hard says that it can be used on a draw. It promotes the draw one distance, so instead of Bob's rock coming to rest in the 12-foot, it will now come to rest in the 8-foot. Play continues until all 4 players pass in a row. Since Bob played a card to affect his own throw, play now comes back to Claire. She was okay with Bob having a guarded rock in the 12-foot, but now that Hurry Hard is about to promote that rock, she decides that she will play her overcurled card. David and Abby pass once again, and Bob passes as well. Claire has no more cards to play on Bob's shot, so she also passes. All 4 players have now passed in a row, so Bob's shot is now resolved. Hurry Hard promotes Bob's rock one distance closer to the button. To keep track that this rock is now in the 8-foot, the Hurry Hard card is turned around and slid underneath Bob's draw. Bob keeps these cards in front of him so that everyone knows that the rock belongs to Bob's team. The overcurled card that Claire played prevents Bob from claiming the guard in the center of the table, so that guard remains where it is. The overcurled card is discarded. After the shot is resolved, everyone checks their hand size. Bob and Claire are down to 3 cards. Each of them draws 1 card to fill their hand up to 4. It's now Claire's turn to play a shot card. If you lose track, you can always figure out whose turn it is by looking at the number of face-down cards in front of each player. The person with the hammer will always have the most cards in front of him. Moving clockwise, the first player with the same number of cards as the player with the hammer is due to throw next. So Abby has 3 cards in front of her, Bob has 3 in front of him, but Claire has 4 cards in front of her, so we can see that it's Claire's turn to throw. She starts by picking up one of the cards in front of her and adding it to her hand. Her teammate Abby can now suggest the shot. Abby asks her to throw a takeout to remove Bob's rock. Claire thinks about Abby's suggestion, but decides instead to play a draw to the button card. David is to Claire's left, so he has the first chance to affect Claire's throw. David plays Sweeping Error, a red card that can target draws. Sweeping Error is the opposite of Hurry Hard. It has the effect of demoting a draw. So if left unchecked, the Sweeping Error card will demote Claire's rock from the button to the 4-foot. Abby gets to play next, and she has in her hand a Hurry Hard card, which she plays now. We saw before that Hurry Hard can be used to promote a draw. It can also be used, however, to cancel a Sweeping Error. So Abby's card and David's card will now cancel each other. Bob passes, as does Claire, David, and Abby in turn. So with 4 passes in a row, Claire now resolves her draw to the button by placing it in front of her. Gets to claim the guard from the center of the table, and places that in front of her draw to protect it. The sweeping error and hurry hard cards cancel themselves out and are discarded. David and Abby now draw a card each to bring their hands up to 4 cards. Now we're going to skip ahead to the final rock of the end. Claire still has her rock on the button, but the guard that used to be protecting it has been removed previously by a takeout. In addition, Abby and Claire have a rock on the 4-foot that is behind a guard. Bob and David still have Bob's rock on the 8-foot, and they also have a rock on the 4-foot. David has the hammer, which indicates he's throwing last this end. He picks up the last of the cards in front of him and adds it to his hand. His teammate Bob suggests that he throw a takeout. David complies and indicates that he's targeting Claire's rock on the button for removal. Abby has the first chance to affect David's throw, but has no useful cards left and passes. Bob now plays Hit and Stick. Hit and Stick is a combination red and green card. Because it was played on a teammate's throw, it's played as a green card. The effect of the card is to allow the takeout, if it removes a rock in the rings, to claim the rock of the other team. In other words, rather than takeout removing the opponent's rock and rolling out of the rings, it removes the rock and stays right there, becoming a rock in play for your own team. Claire goes next and plays Miss the Broom. Miss the Broom causes the takeout to miss the targeted rock. Normally this will cancel the takeout completely. However, it's now David's turn to play, and in his hand he has Plan B. Plan B modifies Miss the Broom. You still can't hit your original target, but now you can target another rock in play, so long as it's not behind a guard. David would like to change the target to the rock that Abby and Claire have on the 4-foot, but because it's behind a guard, he'll have to make that guard his new target. Abby passes once again, but Bob has another card to play. Double. Double allows the takeout to remove a second rock in addition to the rock targeted. No one has any more cards they can play on this shot, so everyone passes. Now we resolve David's throw. Miss the Broom means David can no longer target Claire's rock on the button. Plan B, however, allows him to change the target of his takeout to the guard in front of Abby's rock on the 4-foot, which the takeout now removes. Double then allows David to remove a second rock. He now chooses Claire's rock on the button. This is allowed because the Miss the Broom card only affects the original takeout, not the double. Finally, Bob's Hit and Stick allows David to claim the draw to the button that was removed. So instead of removing the draw of the button, Dave moves it to in front of his team. So in an actual curling game, what happened here? David threw a takeout at Claire's rock on the button, missed, but hit a guard out in front of the house, which careened into the house, removed Claire's rock on the button, and stayed right there. Now we can score the end. David and Bob have a rock on the button, that counts 1. They also have a rock on the 4-foot, but so do Abby and Claire. There are no tie-breaking cards to let us choose between these two rocks, so they are considered equal distance from the button, and neither counts. David and Bob also have a rock on the 8-foot, but it also doesn't count, because it's further from the button than Abby and Claire's rock in the 4-foot. So Bob and David score 1 point this end. They had the hammer, and when a team with the hammer scores, the hammer passes to the opposing player on the left, so the hammer is passed to Abby. All of the cards are discarded, both those in play and those in everyone's hand. Abby will now shuffle the deck and deal out the cards to start a new end. That concludes our demonstration of how to play Hurry Hard the Curling Card Game. If you have any questions, please contact us at www.curlingcardgame.com. Thank you very much for watching.